probably feeling, oh, Sonic Wave is down. If we don't do anything during this period of time, it's bad for us. So they tried to force the issue. They lost another fight, and just basically the whole game just went downhill after that.
It felt like they had much more, though. Even if they don't have Sonic Wave, they had so much potential. Just between even Fear's Earth Spirit and the Darkseer coming out. Now, it's easy to give Fear a lot of credit for his tremendous Earth Spirit play, and I knew once they got the pick, I knew this guy's a natural on the hero, but got to give some props to Universe, of course, right, Ben?
Yeah, his vacuums are always at the right time. There was like one, I think, at the T2 where they didn't actually kill anyone, but I think there was a mech involved there that helped Complexity survive that fight. But most of the fights, there were like 4 or 5-man vacuums. The one at the top rune where Arteezy got caught out, and then everyone just like exploded after the Sonic Wave was pretty crazy. But all in all, you can see why they value the Darkseer so much over someone like the Nature's Prophet or even Enchantress that Complexity favored this game. Like, it doesn't matter if EG wins or loses the lanes. If they win, they're going to push towers for team fights. If they're losing the lanes or even like it was this game, and they'll take team fights and crush you from there.
OG, is there really any reason EG should not just keep going for the Darkseer if the teams are going to keep giving it to him as an option?
I think we'll definitely see the Darkseer come out in the next draft. And I think, talking about the draft, it was just very smart from PPD. He looked at what Complexity do. They do this thing where they do group up early. We know that Complexity have got really good team play, but they don't necessarily always have the team fight feel. And straight on top of it, EG's there, Universe is there, they've got the counter to this grouping up Complexity do. At the end of the day, Complexity is going to love the bond they have. It's just their own demands. PPD was there to punish it.
Now, with this loss, this means Complexity are going to be the team that need to bounce back if they want to be able to try to stretch this to a Game 3. I have been informed that we actually have an extra video clip here. It's back from when Complexity first did those player hype intros, and we can see an interview about how they felt coming in to the Shanghai Major.
Hey guys, I'm Simon. My nickname is Hanskin. I play for Team Complexity. I play the support position. I wouldn't say we have more training, probably. Like, they play a lot of Dota. They've been around for a long time, but I think we're definitely the better team. As cocky as that sounds, I think we have better chances as majors than RPM.
What keeps me going and makes me such a top player is playing a lot of Dota, watching replays, and is work on your own mistakes. Watch your own replays is the most important. Like, watch yourself and see what your flaws is, and yeah, you can't think you're a top player if you're not. You always have mistakes. So if you keep on working on your mistakes and you put in the right amount of time, you're gonna be a top player.
Watching the last LAN in MDL, we saw eHome take down Evil Geniuses, and I think they're gonna be the favorites coming up in this LAN.
Our team is a really streaky team. If we do well, I can see us going far in this tournament, but if we start slow and have a few poor results, I can definitely see us finishing near the bottom.
So I think there's a few really strong teams right now, like eHome is definitely one of them, and EG as well. They looked really strong at MDL and other tournaments recently as well, so I think those teams will be the best at this major.
We fear nothing!
Very confident Complexity squad. They knew, even coming into this event, that EG were probably going to be their toughest test, and here they are facing off against them for the second time now. So we've got to look forward to game number 2. But the one thing I want to say is, even if EG are gifted the opportunity to go for Darkseer, I imagine they can't go back for the Oracle once again. It just doesn't seem, as nice as it is to be able to try to eliminate the Darkseer out of the laning phase, it feels like he ends up being a bit underwhelming through the rest of the game. Would you agree with that, Ben?
We've seen Sven's as like the single core shutdown a lot, and Oracle's kind of good at making someone Superman, but it just wasn't enough versus the mass AoE team fight. Same with Abaddon. He's good at, you know, when they have single target stuns, Primal Roar, Arrow, those sort of things. But when you have all the spread damage, everyone is clumped up, Sonic Wave, Magnetize, Freezing Field, all these AoE spells, like you can't heal through all of that. So I agree that they focus way too much on laning phase. The Enchantress pick, I was like, this might not be good. They have Wisp and Ench. It's a little greedy. How are they gonna put up versus team fight? Do you think they should go back to team fight strats they have been running?
I mean, I'm hoping to see that they'll get something like the Enigma or the Tidons through the draft. I really think that's what the side of Complexity needs to do, but I don't think EG's going to let them have it. I don't think EG's going to let Complexity get their hands on these heroes that are going to be able to deal with EG fighting as a full 5-man and just capitalizing on the fact that you are grouping up at these points. I think PPD, he seems to have come into this matchup. I think he's figured out Complexity. You know, as we said, the first series in the group stages, it was EG Complexity, 2-1 to EG, sorted it out after the first game. I think this time around, PPD and the guys, they're not going to make any mistakes, and I feel that the next draft it's going to be another clear win, and I would be super surprised if Complexity couldn't come back from this one.
I mean, but surely Swindles has prepared for this. He's very familiar with
I
PPD
guess
from. And they put up a good fight in the group stage. So obviously he's going to be trying to think of solutions as to how to beat EG. Is it just straight all about the Enigma Tide? Do they have any other chance that they concentrate a lot on lanes, on pushing?
They did have the chance though to pick the heroes early because EG didn't ban it in the first phase when they opened with the Wiz. They could have just picked up something to go along those lines like the Tide or what, but they didn't. They chose to go for the OD, which is more, I think, geared towards the plan of they want to win their lanes. I mean, OD still provides some sort of team fight with the ultimate, but not as great as their previous combinations. So I think the main thing here is to focus more on team fighting for Complexity. Like both teams will focus on team fight. And I think that if you focus on lanes with your Complexity, the game plan is just not as good as focusing on team fight. So I think this game they'll adjust. They'll just try to open with more team fight based heroes, because we know that if they don't pick it in the first phase, PPD will most likely ban it in the second phase, like what happened in the first game.
And going back to what about selection priority? Does Dire matter that much? We saw them make use of Ursa on the Radiant.
I think it's harder to play EG if they're on Dire, in my opinion. But at the same time, through our discussion, because if you want to focus on getting team fight heroes, having first pick is great for you, because then you can snag up the hero right away. So I think maybe if your Complexity, you would actually side a bit more to wanting to get the first pick if you actually have selection priority. So
What do you do with that first pick, though? Do you think Complexity is the kind of team that will
Enigma?
try to get Enigma or Earth Spirit for themselves? They played okay.
I actually
Fear
say
plays very
Darkseer
good, but
might be more important because Beastmaster will likely be banned out
I
again.
actually think you can give them Darkseer, but you have to have very strong lanes to deal with it, and not let the Darkseer actually get so much. But at the same time, if you, I'm thinking that if you open with Enigma, then it probably makes it difficult to deal with the Darkseer. So it's either if you go Enigma, maybe you have to get a better carry that can actually deal with Darkseer in the laning phase that is strong, or you go for a greedy carry, a teamfight carry, but you don't draft a jungler. You just draft like 3 heroes in the lane against Darkseer. So you make sure Darkseer doesn't get anything if EG opens the draft with Darkseer.
have we figured out yet what the solution may be? Let's say if the Enigma is to come out, it seems like that's been the puzzle for this meta so far. At least a big part of it is how do you deal with the Enigma? A lot of people are saying it's not just as easy as being able to kind of intercept him in the jungle or disturb the flow there. So do you counterbalance it with your own heavy greedy play, or do you continue to strive for some way to kind of nip it in the bud as far as where Enigma is able to really thrive?
We discussed this yesterday. It's either you get the Bounty Hunter, which is by far the best roamer to pressure him, which is typically banned out, or you have a very strong offlaner that kind of suffers, or actually thrives against a
dual lane, I guess. Because sometimes it's very hard for one hero against, it depends on the matchup, right? If you're Prophet, I know I've been talking a lot about Prophet, but Prophet against the Sven is not really a great matchup. Like, they can deal with you very well, so I think in most cases, if you want to make sure that you have a very good laning phase as the offlaner, 2 heroes is best, if you can actually make that setup happen.
To take a step back, it sounds like we actually have an MVP here for game number 1. Of course, this is the MVP as far as the spectators go. So we can check that out right now, and we'll see if our panel actually agrees with it or not. It looks like they are going to be awarding Arteezy with it as far as his Ursa play. Fear will be the second with his Earth Spirit, and then Universe on the Darkseer. My early impression is it's more probably on Universe to be the playmaker for his team. What did you guys think about who you felt was the independent player that game for EG?
It was fairly close though. Look at the numbers.
Between these 3.
I think Arteezy has like a baseline of like 25% though. So I would put Universe number 1, Fear number 2, and then all 3 of the others about the same.
I'd agree.
But Arteezy did make a very big play. I think the play where he died at top and then he TP bottom, he smoked. I think that play was really big. That was a huge play that he got 2 kills at bottom with that smoke play.
Is that something unique for Ursa? Because when I saw that, it almost felt reminiscent of like what we saw from like Gyrocopters typically do. Where they
I
make
don't
the
think
most.
it's unique for Ursa. It's the mental part, because you you die in a lane and then you want to quickly get something done, and because you just died, the enemy won't expect you to rotate away. And at the same time, it can be very risky. What if you actually made that rotation and you get nothing? Then you will be in such a terrible position. But he was able to make the first kill, and then he had the the guts to actually dive for the second kill as well, which we were, wow, that was actually so dangerous. But he actually got out with like a sliver of HP. So
He just got level 6 from that first kill, and he didn't have him enraged for that first death up top. But
No.
that's not that's something that was, I think, enabled by the Darkseer, because they can't just like run up. I guess most offlaners that you had would be able to set up on the edge, but
yeah, but I think that was the play that actually changed a lot in the early phase, because we were talking about how Complexity is having a very good laning phase, and then that happened, and RTC got so much out of it. He got like 1.5 levels from that.
Sounds like we have a draft ready to go for game number 2, so why don't we go ahead and hop into it. It's going to be Complexity versus Evil Geniuses. Will Complexity be able to square this series back up and take it to game 3, or will EG stride on forward with a 2-0 shutout? We'll have to see. And another point I wanted to bring up is Z-Freak here. I typically love to see him on more of those playmaking kind of a heroes, whether it be the Earth Spirit or the Mirana we've seen. Last game he was under the Oracle. Is it better for Complexity to give him those kind of playmaking heroes, and do you think they might go for it here?
I think it's better for the lanes if he actually moves around. I don't know. They were doing okay in the lane last game. At the same time, their draft was focused on winning the lanes. But as long as they have more team fight from their cores, I'm okay with whatever they give.
Yeah, obviously it's easy to say, Dakota, when you watch a game, oh, they have a very defensive lineup and they couldn't do anything. But what if it works? Like, they actually make it work. They counter gang and they were really patient and they were able to stretch the game. Then obviously we would talk about, oh, how this pick was being really successful.
What do you think about Evil Genius? It seems like this is the second game now where the first phase, it's not more about the Wisp. They only fear the Tiny. Like, that's the big problem, and they feel like is this something we'll expect from them every single game if there is a third game, let's say?
I think so. I think Beastmaster is also a very pivotal part of like the overall Complexity strategy, because every time we talk about COL, we always say they're a very team-based team. They always play around each other. They're very good at team fight. They're very good at making the big decisions. And Beastmaster, I think even Cinderin mentioned when he was on a panel, the hero just gives you so much information, allows you to make the correct and best decisions in most cases to understand what you should do. So the hero definitely is one of the heroes that makes Complexity's playstyle very, very good.
It also looks like EG are back on Radiant again with first pick, and with that first pick, they're going to be picking up what they've picked the most this patch so far, Vengeful Spirit. At least at this major, they've picked it 3 times already with a 2-1 record, and again, Complexity are going to be going for the Wisp first pick.
I think they run the risk of getting Drow Rangered, though, with the IO pick. I think that's something that Peter would look to do. You want them to draft heroes that they're very comfortable with, NP, IO, and both of these are still left in the pool, and both of those, I think, are really, really weak against a very strong push. Yep. And Drow Ranger also ensures your lanes. I don't know if they'll be able to solidify it.
It's like EG wants Complexity to pick heroes that are very good in a lane and not good in a team fight. They just want Complexity to play like that. But I've seen some of their draftsmen, even when they have the IO, they have like Tai, they have all the team fight heroes, they have like Brewmaster sometimes. So I feel like even though they open the draft with the IO, team fight should still be the focus on what they build it up in the next few picks. So Darkseer is obviously still really good, like good in team fight, good in lane. So it's definitely a hero that fits both the departments.
Still Tide and Enigma in the pool also. If EG want to grab up one or the other. It's been a go-to for them, typically against Wisp picks, and they'll actually go for it here and now.
This actually might mean the Darkseer has a very good chance of having a really good laning phase, depending on what type of carry. We've seen like when EG pick Enigma, they always go for, I think Klings is the most common. So they actually help the support deal with the offlaner very well, because Klings doesn't really need much support, and Enigma can just do whatever he wants, his farm, wait for his level 6 smoke and get a kill.
I didn't notice if it was banned yet or not, but typically what they like to pair along with that Klinks is going for the Faceless Void. Could it be something that EG do consider here? We'll have to see, as obviously Complexity, they get all very involved with their draft. Swindle very commanding with it. Looks like Faceless Void's out there, but they do ban the Klinks there.
I think the other hero that could possibly replace the Klinks position is maybe Gyro. I know we haven't seen EG use the hero at all, but we've seen a few picks yesterday. He's fairly decent in the laning phase. Good team fight. and it's quite hard for Darkseid to get close up to the Gyro because of the Rocket Barrage. So that could be a pick that would strengthen their laning phase against Darkseid and be very useful in team fights as well. But it's not as strong late game compared to the other carries, obviously.
Can ask our resident gyrocopter expert here what he feels about going for the gyro and against a Wisp Darkseer already.
I think Gyro can be a bit of fun. I don't know. I don't know if they'll do it though, EG. I think
Yeah.
I'm going to be very interested to see whether the Sven comes into in this draft. I think obviously it could be a hero that both teams could be looking at. At the same time, I'd really like to see Complexity give us another little bit of a show with the Chessie Ember Spirit. And, they've got the Darkseer already. They've got the Eye. They've got the global potential. Is there potential that we could see Ember Spirit come through the draft from Complexity?
Yeah, I think that when you pick Darkseid, there's two ways to go by. Either you pick like heroes that work really well with Vacuum, or you pick heroes that work very well with the Iron Shell.
Yeah.
And definitely when you're up against Enigma jungling, when you want to pressure the lanes more, you want to use heroes that can pair very well with the Iron Shell. Apart from Ember, we have like the Tusk. I think Complexity picks a lot of Tusk as well, and it could be very useful in the laning phase. But there we go, the Void being taken out. So
Isn't it weird that they banned the Mirana? That means they're like, they don't care about the OD, but they care about the OD plus the Mirana. Isn't that
no,
strange?
I think the reason, if you look at their third and fourth bans, they're banning out Bounty, they're banning out Mirana. After they pick Enigma, it's just protecting their jungling hero.
I don't think Mirana's particularly good at invading the enemy jungle though.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the same time, even though if you feel like he can't really invade it, yeah, obviously he can't beat the Enigma, but he can be a nuisance towards the mid laner, because you know you're not going to be able to help the mid laner so much because you have a jungler. So you want to eliminate heroes that can be so annoying like Mirana against the mid laner. So it's somewhat, even though I mentioned protecting the jungle, but it could also be protecting the mid laner more because you're being greedy.
Big question though here is, when is the right time to pull out that mid lane Jakiro from Complexity?
Oh, you really like the hero though, Dakota. I mean,
I just like to see something
they
new.
have Vacuum Ice Path, so
This may be the time. No, but they put their priorities because, yeah, as you mentioned, a lot of attention towards the mid lane could be the ticket here for Complexity, being able to punish the greedy Enigma.
How come this is seems to be a matchup that we just don't see both teams touch upon the Nature's Prophet here?
I think even though it's a really good hero, probably Complexity figure out that EG wants them to go for heroes that are really good in the lanes.
Oh!
So you look at what they're doing right now, like they are focusing back on team fight. So they have the Vacuum into Upheaval and the Rock, obviously. It's really good team fight, and you have a good disable to stop the Black Hole from a very good distance.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really good pick against what EG have, and more importantly, we talk about what they need to focus team fight. So this is looking good for Complexity.
Do we know if this is a mid lane Warlock, a Z-Freak Warlock?
10 seconds remaining.
I remember seeing them playing on Z-Freak once. Do you guys recall?
5
Oh,
I know
am
there's
I
a
wrong?
Warlock earlier in this tournament in the hands of Alliance, which in that case it was EGM playing it in the 4 position. I'm just not sure with Complexity how they like to prioritize this and how much they want to be able to get that team fight online sooner than later.
I personally like a mid lane core Warlock, because it's like you want the hero to come online faster, and support is like a bit greedy. But obviously it's still open to option where you want to put him as support, it's still possible, or you want to put him as a core. So what do we have, Ben?
Statsman Wu?
Last game, it was played by Limp in the middle lane,
Okay.
combined with Ogre, AA, Gyro, and a Swindle Melons Slordar.
I would be happy to see any of those. really.
Gyro seems good with
Yeah,
the
Fatal
Warlock,
Bonds.
with the Io, yeah, Fatal Bonds as well.
And they lost.
Okay.
Versus DC.
I mean,
Oh, these- oh my
generally
goodness.
these strategies are always like you want to use it only one time, so you want to catch your opponent by surprise. So, because it's like if the hero doesn't win team fights and you lose one team, it's like the game will be so difficult for you.
I think they've used it twice, though. They've actually won a game with it. I'm trying to
Oh,
find the
yeah.
other game.
That's nice.
Nicely done, OD. It will be an Ember coming out in the core position here for Complexity to be able to utilize that Ion Shell. We mentioned it yesterday. Ember Spirit overall not a very successful hero in the tournament, but yesterday it's found some success in the hands of Secret, and we'll see it again here for Complexity.
Yeah, but I wonder if they're actually going to do Quaswax after seeing that, because Quaswax is way better against.
Wow.
Nah, they're gonna probably going. Maybe not. It's still possible to go Quaswax with Drow. It doesn't mean that you have to go Exalt, because against Ember, it's really good to have that Tornado. remove the Flame Guard, and you remove the Ion Shell. Those are the primary damage of the first 4 heroes. You look at these 4 heroes, their damage comes from Ion Shell and Flame Guard. So these are the 2 big spells that you want to have the Quasvex Invoker deal with if you actually go that route. And Ben, you called the Drow, OD called the Drow.
How do you do?
Their laning phase would be very good as well again, this time. And they have a very fast tempo. Like most of their heroes are very fast tempo with the Drow Aura. They're going to be looking to push after they win their laning phase. And maybe even sneak a Roshan, I want to say, because they have Drow and bench. If they can actually do that, it would be really nice.
From Radiant side, huh?
Yeah.
That'd be something else. What about for Universe here? Do they get something big in team fight like the Tidehunter, which is still out there and again, or do you look for something else?
Tidehunter, oh, they're more worried about Brood actually. But even though they have the Darkseer and the Ember, they're still worried about them. That's strange, but yeah, Tide could work really well for them. For just to strengthen their team fight.
I think first you want to see if it's a core warlock or support warlock, and then after that you decide whether or not you want more team fighters.
Yeah, and they have last pick anyways.
I mean, if they're going all in with the pushes, you don't feel there's any room for Universe to go, alright, we'll just get the Nature's Prophet out for this one.
Yeah, Prophet is really nice with the Draw Aura.
It's fast paced.
And
I
it's
think
fast paced.
Versus Darkseer Warlock, you want fast paced. You want to hit before Io gets level 6. You want to play around the Warlock ultimate timing. I think it would actually work.
And not to mention that it's really good in the laning phase as well against the Wisp. I think if you actually do Wisp and Warlock support, it's very hard for them to zone Prophet. So that could play to the hands of EG if they actually do that.
And with the final ban, we saw Evil Genius is rid of the PL, so they're not certain whether or not this will be a core Warlock or not.
I just think like if they do support Warlock, it might actually be too greedy though. It might be hard to pull off. Like core Warlock seems a lot more stable for the lineup. I'm not sure, I might be wrong.
Yeah, because then you either leave Wisp with pretty much nothing and he'll be an easy pot shot there for Drow, or Warlock will take a long time to really get a powerful rock into the game. So we'll have to see what Complexity do decide to identify this Warlock with the final grab now.
Is there any reason for them to go back for the OD now that they know that it's going to be invoked in the mid lane?
It's tough because he doesn't deal that well with push.
10 seconds.
I don't think they care if they pick OD. I don't think Evil Geniuses care if Complexity pick OD. It's okay in the mid lane, but Invoker plus Drow Aura, and then you're going to get pushed down pretty early. And it's just
Our Complexity
Hey.
won this game.
Do you like this, bro? My friend, do you like the Gyro here? So Warlock is gonna be the support. Is Gyro gonna go? Gyro's gonna go mid, right?
It'll be the Amber Io mid, won't it?
They have ran Gyrocopter in the mid lane not that long ago.
Yeah, they ran it yesterday.
And a Nyx Assassin going to be coming out here. This looks to be an off-lane Universe Nyx Assassin now. So with the draft complete, let's go ahead and send it over to the arena. We have a gentleman who does love Drow Ranger a bit more than Visage does, and his partner in crime, Synderen.
You may or may not be right, Dakota. Of course, EG do know how to tick my box, and they've actually ticked 2 of my boxes this time around. Enigma and Drow Ranger, both in the same game. Plus, we get to see a hero which Fear has been playing absolutely amazingly, the Nyx Assassin also for them.
Yeah, is this the first time Universe plays it in the tournament? Because they played on Sumail and on Fear mainly, but they play it
It's a very good question. It's a very, very good question. So far, Ben, it just has been Sumail and Swell's Fear. I have no other recollection of another game. So yeah, Arteezy Drow though gets to come back. Obviously, when he first started playing the Drow range, we always remember what would happen. He would play it mid, die 5 times, and they would end up still winning. In fact, it was I remember Fear saying, because he cast an MLG game with me one time, and his thoughts on Drow were basically she's really good for an aura, but she's crap at everything else. So I'd be very happy if you just sat back in base and did absolutely nothing apart from give me an aura. He said that during the middle of a cast. I'm like, okay, Fear. That's absolutely wonderful.
Well, things have changed since then.
They have.
And we're into game number 2. So EG did win the first game by playing superior team fight, both in terms of execution and draft. This game, Complexity are trying to adapt to that by getting themselves a Warlock. But they kind of seem to have the same innate problem as last game. When you say they don't have very much lockdown to force the fight on their terms. They have slight chains, and PPD, nice juke downwards.
Swindles doesn't have Surge, so he can't even get Chessie in close. Obviously, he doesn't want to. He wants to have Iron Shell instead. PPD, they are really playing with fire right now. Complexity are coming in so deep because they want to establish control over the Enigma's jungle. And Fear is going to be forced out of here. But you are right, though. Complexity, like, you look at the two supports. It's like, it's a Whisper support.
Arteezy.
Arteezy, no, he said the Shadow Word should tick him down. He salved up. Actually, no, the Tango charges. It'll let him survive.
Oh my god.
Actually,
he was so.
Yeah, he's good.
He was so focused with checking where they were warding. So he has pinged out correctly. He's pinged out both sentries that Complexity placed. He put his hero in a position where he could see some movement, but he was so focused on those wards that they just ran in on him and almost killed him next to the tower. Oh man.
That'll be a terrific start.
He stays alive though. He doesn't have the gold for a TP. Someone's gonna have to
PPD just bought one for him. So it's dropped back at base, but yeah. I suppose PPD can make that money back by just taking some farm on the bottom lane. And really what Swindle's gonna do about it is consistent damage, and this is kind of like the dream lane for a Drow Ranger. You just keep your distance, you let them tick down, and you just focus on getting your space, your farm. Level 6, the primary objective. He's not going to be able to kill off this Darkseer. Unless PPD gets himself a magic missile, like at the exact same time as Surge's cast, that offlane should be perfect for Swindles.
It's getting off a side pull here very nicely. PPD was not able to prevent him from doing that. And that's going to give him level 2.5 roughly.
You see how he's wanting to stay close enough so he can get the experience as well from the camp. Has to tank up a fair chunk for this. The Universe Nyx Assassin offlane. How's this lane really meant to work? We saw Fear really showcase up against Eternal Envy just how great the Nyx Assassin is against an Ember Spirit. Obviously, because Ember is a guaranteed stun when you trigger Spike Carapace. How is he meant to try and lane this now as the Nyx? Universe has burned all of the mana of Chessie, but Z-Freak's still zoning him out. Or trying to, at least.
Well, he's still got 2 mangoes, and the hero has good base regen. And the good thing about Nyx in the offlane is that if you just get levels, it's actually fine. This hero doesn't really need that much farm compared to, say, a Darkseer, for example, to be very effective. And him already being level 3 is definitely good enough so far. The IO is focusing a lot on stacking the jungle for the Gyro later. Or the Ember, depending on who they want it for. And this is just, this is definitely good enough for Universe. He's playing the lane the way he's supposed to. And yeah, sure, you can try to arrest him out with the Warlock, but we're back to the same problem. You don't have kill potential with this lane. Like, the actual lockdown is not very good. Maybe if you bring over Aya, you have a chance.
Maybe that's where your question really like starts to flag. Because at this point, it looks like it's going to be Swindles who gets the stack with the help here of Hanskin. So they're going to inject the money into the Darkseer first, but it's that timing attack which Complexity have to look for. If you don't have the control, then you move as 5 and you just say, okay, my team fight is far superior. We have mech on Darkseer, we have the cooldown over on Limp. You should have Ember Spirit with the ability to at least control. And you need Z-Freak with level 6. The Wisp is kind of just like that bottle survivor for whoever needs help. But is Complexity able to hit a sweet timing when they didn't actually control Fear? He was able to get his camps up and running. In fact, that Dire Sentry ward didn't even block the camp. It looked like it kind of should have, but it actually didn't. So Fear is just able to freely again move through this jungle. If there is one team that definitely understands this, it's Complexity.
Yep.
They push Z-Freak into the jungle all the time, and he comes out around the 6-7 minute mark with level 8 and a full mech.
Yeah, and I was saying that they were stacking for Ember or Gyro, and they end up giving all of it to the Darkseer, which goes to show what the game plan is. He was actually doing okay in the offlane, so he could have probably stayed there and got a little bit more out of it. Of course, this is way more effective for him, but, you know, then this gold, the lane is basically empty for a while, and I do think all in all, they would have got more gold from keeping him bottom and giving the stack to Gyro or Ember, but this way you speed up your timing on the mech. It's very clear that that is the #1 priority for them so they can activate their team fight. And I think it's probably a good call, because you look over at EG and they have the better greed, so if you just greed the farm and put it on your carries, you're gonna probably still come out weaker than EG will from the laning stage.
It's still the question, like, whose timing is better? Because Sumail like, he's not really been pressuring this mid. The Gyrocopter doesn't have kill potential in this mid lane as well. So it's just a simple, like, don't even need to get Exort. Sumail's preparing himself for when the team fight's going to happen. And all he's got to do is just have his core
Lead the way.
as far as he can. Universe top lane. Have they got enough? Universe can trigger a Mango, and with the upheaval, Universe is slowed down. This could be first blood up on top lane. Chessy, the burn will work in Complexity. They take first blood up on the top lane. Wonderful play. They saw it coming, and you see the extra point up in upheaval of Z-Freak paying off.
And the third point in Flame Guard. That's
I'm
it's
here.
the duration, and it's especially obviously the absorb that prevents Universe from being able to break it. Yep, he stuck his nose up a bit too far, and Complexity get the first blood there.
It's not the critical lane I'm looking to see like Complexity get a kill on or control on. I guess this bottom lane right now where EG are about to take the tier 1 tower. PPD actually purposely stacked the wave and mistiming on the attacks from EG, but Swindles read it perfectly. But you're getting your level 6 up very, very quickly on this Droid Ranger. So everyone over on EG, apart from the Nyx Assassin, is about to get a huge injection of damage. Which is what makes this Quas Wex even more achievable. PPD, you're really low, man. So tempting for Swindles. He sees PPD at 250 life. He's got Iron Shell and Surge up and running.
Vacuum. He
he leveled up back. PPD, well, juke it around the trees. That won't be enough. He let off the stun and has to consume the Fairy Fire. And Swindles, does he want to surge forward? He doesn't really have, well, he has enough mana for the surge and back.
They might have baited Swindles to come forward here so that Fear can get in.
Yep. And Fear, well, Swindles hasn't used his surge yet. Now he will. Into the trees as far down as possible. Arteezy, Gus comes off cooldown. With the Wave of Terror, they see him, and that'll let the Malphus go off. And, well, goodbye, Swindles. Nowhere to survive this one. He's still fairly tanky. And it took so long to go down, but it is still a kill on the offlane for both sides now. That's also level 6 for Arteezy.
And I'm really happy that EG chose to go for the Quas Wex like you talked about. I think it's the right choice this game for them. They obviously have the Tornado against the Ember Spirit, which is incredible.
Universe. Hanskin. Surprise. EMP's going to go. Hanskin's attention turned around. Oh, Universe! He goes for the double stun. The Wisp will die from the fall from the Tornado. Sumail is still very low in limb. He doesn't have the mana. He can't really do anything. Sumail is low. But they give him the life. He'll end up surviving. Chessy wants to come down. Universe. Man, what a double stun from Universe. And
did it double stun?
It did. I got on my screen, it did.
I think he only hit one. Well, regardless, the idea was really good.
I'm going to blame the lag on my screen if it didn't. Either way. They go middle lane again. EMP, Tornado, Cold Snap, Limp being burned out. Warlock, lets the Shadow Word go, but how much damage have they got? Not enough when they... Okay, where's the Searing Chains? Not enough mana, only 4 stick charges for Chessy. That would have put him up high enough.
Universe has Arcane Boots in 5 seconds. If he wants to activate this Vendetta into Arcane Stun, he can do it. He doesn't have Flame Guard.
They're going top instead.
Yep.
They found Hanskin. Now Hanskin can tether himself away. We've seen all series.
Oh, Chessy.
He actually, yeah. Universe ready to go. Well, he actually arcanes, stuns. The Flame Guard did get up. With that,
but nope, Tornado. Hey. If it wasn't for Flame Guard, Sumail might just be playing Exort this game. Quas Wex Invoker ruins Ember early on. And of course they also have the Drow War, so he has more presence in lane, like you also mentioned. Time players just autopilot over to Quas Wex. Potentially have.
Just a good read for this game. When you understand completely in front of and Sumail is going to go for the Hunter. In fact, maybe this can actually bring back like the Phase Boots Drum Orchid build over on the Invoker. Is that worth it in this game to try and pick off, or at least maybe even take out Z-Freak before the fight begins?
Orchid is very good this game, that's for sure. Top lane, Chessy, he went in way too far. Went in greedy, trying to pressure in PPD, and Universe was just sitting next to him in Vendetta.
he had the ward up. Like, there's a ward sitting on that hillside.
That's probably why he felt confident. Gave him a false feeling of safety there. Seeing, I'm guessing Universe Vendetta. Yeah, he Vendetta quite a while ago.
Lead the way.
That's a big kill. That's the second death of Chessie.
They're really, like, they're folding behind now. Like, instead of using, like, stacks to propel the Gyro or the Ember Spirit forward, now they're using them to catch up. And that's not what you want to be doing when you're looking for, like, a big group team fight timing. But they're still going to team up again, coming to that top lane. This EG ward, the sentry from Z-Freak's too far away. So EG are aware of the rotation, and they now make the choice. Do they fight or do they dodge? Sumail wants to fight. He's got himself a haste rune. He runs in. He's staring down Chessie. Now, Chessie is purposely not putting up the flame guard. He'll spirit himself away. The upheaval's going to go, but it reveals the fact that Z-Freak is in the tree line with the Malphas and the Midnight Pulse. He'll get the Golem off, but the tower's already been taken out by the Enigma. Hanscom, there's your black hole from Fear. Chessie and Swindles, they can't go anywhere. Universe will come in. Guarantee kill over on Swindles. Limp gets a nice ulti off. Universe, will he survive? No, he will not. Complexity are able to get some rebuttal here, with Z-Freak picking up the double kill, even in death. And the relocate, they're coming forward. PPD or Sumail. Sumail will go in, Viz, so Chessie has to spirit himself forward to chase down the captain of EG. PPD, one stun in the wave of terror. They're actually going to kill Hanskin in return, thanks to the tornado and the extra damage done by PPD.
Meanwhile, we got a boy just farming Ancient. He actually wasn't even there, I think, the whole time.
Hey, it's the Fear scenario, man.
Yeah.
Keep Drow out of the fight so the aura remains.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't. Arteezy wasn't there, right? At all.
No.
Not even for the original push of the tower.
If he was, he had no influence in the fight.
Yeah.
And his TP is still on cooldown.
He
so,
is getting
off cooldown,
so rich from all of this. He didn't need to contribute. EG arguably still come out on top. 3-for-3 exchange. They get the tower. They force out Golem. They trade for Black Hole, so I mean that's comparable, I guess.
Really? Complexity just upheavaled into Roshan, thinking EG were going there.
Tell
the
me.
hilarious thing is, they are, but it's 10 seconds after the fact. So Universe triggers up his Vendetta. He knows what's going on, and with the ability just to Soul Ring as well as just convert your conversions, they can easily have the damage to kill off Roshan, and they bring in the dominated Ogre Frost Mage. So Frost Armor as well. This is such a huge play from EG, and just proves how much Dota is a game of timing.
This is very, very big. They could probably go for the bottom tier 2 with this Aegis. Now they're going to play around Arteezy now that he has this. He's going to get his level 10 as well. Looks like he's prioritizing stats over